James Bradberry. But we were going to have him come on later, but I'm being told by my producer that the doc is ready. So if we want to bring Dr. Radcliffe in now, we could bring in Dr. Radcliffe. What's up, Dr. Radcliffe? How you doing, man?
Hi, I'm well. How are you? Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining the show. We are live. We got people in the chat that I'm sure will have some comments for you. But
Yeah,
have you ever heard the expression, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room? You ever heard
of course,
you ever
all
heard
the
that?
time. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
how the hell do you find a room where you're not the smartest person in the room? Harvard University, Duke Medical School. How the hell are you never the smartest person in the room? So, I'm going to try to be able to speak to you, but you're so damn smart. Now, I'm obviously kidding. Dr. Radcliffe is a good
Ah,
guy, good friend of mine, and he's got what's the name of your medical practice, Dr. Radcliffe?
Spinal disc center. So I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I perform primarily spine surgery, and yeah, I've had the privilege of taking care of the Eagles, being on the sidelines in the past as one of the spine surgeons and one of the team doctors. And yeah, now I'm on my own, and I'm running a private practice, kind of focusing on new solutions for back and neck problems.
Where's your office is located? Here in New Jersey?
Uh, yeah, in New Jersey, in Cherry Hill, and in Summers Point, and up in Tom's River.
Well, I appreciate you making the time. We're going to try to have Dr. Radcliffe come on every Monday night. I was
Yeah.
hoping we wouldn't have to talk to you tonight because I was hoping the Eagles were going to get out of that game without any injuries, but unfortunately, that's not the case. The big one everybody's concerned about is the news that Nakobe Dean has a foot injury and is going to be out several weeks but doesn't need surgery. Now, I know doctors don't like to speculate, but I'm going to make you speculate here because I don't think they said what the injury is. Any idea what he could be dealing with?
Yeah, it's got to be a sprain. I talked to a couple of colleagues and did some research. So a sprain is damage to the ligament or the tissue that holds bones together. And in general, there are different degrees of sprains, and different sprains are some are more severe than others. Um, the the minor strains are more or less just stretching the ligament out a little bit, and with rest, it usually comes back to normal size. I think the keys are that the coach said today that it looks like it's about a 4 week timeline or so. If it was a fracture, it would be more like a 12-week timeline. And I think the other key, at least that I saw online, was that Nakobe Dean was walking in a boot. Typically, a fracture would be non-weight bearing. So from that, I kind of deduced that this is not a fracture or a bony injury per se. It's got to be a soft tissue injury, like a ligament strain or sprain. I
Yeah,
saw the
because
video. I couldn't really tell what happened.
it was hard
Hard
to
to
see
see.
in the video, and I just know right after the game, the rumors spreading were Liz Frank, Liz Frank. So we can rule that out, right, at this point?
Correct. Yeah. So a Lisfranc Frank is a really severe midfoot injury, which can be um, a really severe sprain, but it's where essentially all the ligaments are destroyed. So Lisfrancs Franks need surgery, and Lisfrancs Franks are usually non-weight bearing for at least 12 weeks after surgery. So I don't think it's the traditional feared Lisfranc Frank injury.
That's good. So let me ask you now, if you're his treating physician, how do you keep him conditioned to be able to be in game shape when that foot sprain does heal? What can he do?
Yeah, so I mean, he could still do general. I mean, obviously, he can do upper extremity stuff. He can do leg presses and squats and deadlifts and all the. I mean, some of the weight training. He probably would have to do single leg press instead of doing like traditional squats. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, but I mean, he could still do some strengthening. He could still do cardio. Obviously, depending on the nature of it. I mean, you think aqua therapy might be really good for helping him to stay mobile, stay fit, and not put a ton of weight on the injured ligaments because the water will obviously lighten the weight a little bit. So I think that's how I would approach it. Is just look, this is a setback, but take it easy. We're gonna get back, but just for now, let's just focus on staying strong and fit. I don't think he can do sport drills just yet. I don't think he can do that yet.
And again, I'm going to ask you to speculate, and I apologize, but assuming that it is a sprain to the foot, what are we looking at as best case scenario for a return and worst case scenario for a return to the field?
I think best case scenario is 4 weeks, as you know, Coach Syracuse has said. I think worst case scenario is probably you know, more like 12 weeks or longer, and that would be the scenario where it's not fully healed, and then it gets re-injured after an attempted return to play or a practice injury. So I think that you know it'll be telling, and it'll be good just to see him walking around the sideline, see how mobile he is, and to see, you know, just kind of how he's proceeding with his treatment. I'm sure at this point, you know, an MRI is done or going to be done, and the MRI will give really precise information about what ligaments are torn, and there's even degrees of sprain that we can get into.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Eagles schedule as you're talking here, thinking, okay, 4 weeks. So he misses Vikings, Bucks, Commanders, and Rams. But then in 5 weeks, they got the New York Jets, and we're going to see how good they can be tonight with new quarterback Aaron Rodgers, new running back Dalvin Cook, and then the Miami Dolphins the week after. So let's hope Dean can get back on the field. Some people are asking in the comments, who's going to be taken over for Nakobe Dean? And that's a good question because we've been saying it all offseason. The Eagles do not have a lot of linebacker depth here. So as of now, Zach Cunningham, Christian Ellis, do they bring up Nicholas Morrow, who's still on the practice squad? And they did just sign this Rashaan Evans, but I can't imagine he'll be up to speed by Thursday. But let's talk about another injury. And this one's a big one. All-pro cornerback James Bradberry is in the concussion protocol. It's a little bit more along. I mean, whenever you hear concussion, you get concerned because these guys need to make sure they're fully healed before they get back on the field. But really, in this situation, because the Eagles have a quick turnaround Thursday night game, is there any chance that he could get through that concussion protocol before Thursday night?
I really doubt it. You know, it's a it's a 5-phase protocol with like kind of the first phase just being like symptom limited activity. Second phase is aerobic exercise, then some football specific exercise. In order to be kind of released from the concussion protocol, you've got to meet those phases, do some non-contact training drills, and then get cleared for full football activity. And there's usually an independent consultant that has to clear you by that time. So I just think that timing wise, he won't have time by Thursday to do that.
Yeah, and that is a big loss because we know that we have Justin Jefferson coming to town, best wide receiver in the NFL. And I think it's probably going to be Josh Jobe, who did step in against the New England Patriots, make that big play at the end of the game. But yeah, so you think chances of him playing on Thursday night pretty slim?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he went into the concussion protocol, you know, immediately. So we don't know what the dialogue was or what they were seeing on the sidelines, but he must have been symptomatic for them to kind of put him in. If you remember, he put his head down on the field for a couple minutes. Like I think his bell probably was kind of rung, and he was just trying to get oriented. And so there, as you know, out of abundance of caution, they're really careful about this. So they don't rush the concussion protocol. And there's so many different phases that are evidence based, but that to make sure that they're safe to exercise, they're safe to do non-contact, training, and I just don't see him clearing that by Thursday. So it's hard. It's a short week.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but obviously you want the long-term health of the player is most important. So I'd like to see them not rush him back, but Eagles secondary is going to have their work cut out for him against Justin Jefferson, rookie Jordan Addison, who's a stud out of USC, TJ Hawkinson. So I'm going to break that down in the next segment, guys, so stay tuned. But in the chat, FFE Explorer is asking about Hassan Reddick. He had a torn ligament in his thumb, had surgery. He played on Sunday, so I think he's fine. But they're asking, when will he be back to 100% from that?
So it depends. With all these kind of ligament injuries, they actually take longer and linger more than bone injuries, which is kind of surprising. You would think the bone would be worse. So the general timeline is 6 to 12 weeks. The challenge with the thumb, I mean, it's not like you carry a ton of weight across your thumb, but you really need a lot of control and flexibility in order to function well. So I think that for the full function, I'm sure we're looking at 12 weeks or more. You know, just to be able to do basic stuff, and like we said, he played. You know, it may be sooner.
Well, I
And these
appreciate it.
guys play with pain.
Yeah, they do. I mean, all these guys by
Yeah.
the end of the year, they're all banged up. You know, you saw what
Yeah.
Lane Johnson was able to do last year with that
Yeah.
abductor injury, but pretty
Yeah.
incredible. You know, we just saw it was Kevin Hart tried to race that former player,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Got
he's
a
in a
hamstring
wheelchair.
injury. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's in a wheelchair, and I
Yeah.
think Lane Johnson had a similar injury.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show how tough these guys are. But yeah,
Yeah.
guys, following along, this is Dr. Kris Radcliffe from the Spinal Disc Center in New Jersey. Great guy, great doctor. As we said earlier, very well trained. He's going to be joining us every Monday night to talk about injuries. So as much as I love Dr. Radcliffe, I'm hoping we don't have a lot to talk to him about because I want this Eagles team to stay healthy. But Doc, really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll talk soon, my man.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you.
So, guys, we're going to take another break before the next segment, and then we're going to get into breaking down this Week 2 matchup. It's coming quickly Thursday night against Justin Jefferson and the Minnesota Vikings, so don't go away.